It's another Pleasant Valley Sunday, but it's Monday. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just talking now. I'm just starting just starting up, and I'm looking forward to having some. Emily, you're here. You have never done Tao of the Day. Come on up. Give me a number between 1 and 81. We're gonna have a little fun. Do you have 15 minutes? Because if you do, definitely come up, and you do. Wonderful. So this is Tao of the Day. This is like the cornerstone of what I do here on Wisdom. Um, hey Emily, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh,
I have
good.
a Bose speaker that might be mirroring to me that do I sound okay?
You sound good.
Okay. Well, good morning to you.
Good morning. So this is Tao of the Day. Do you know Tao of the Day?
Not I just caught the tail end. I've never from start to finish, so I don't understand, but enlighten me, please. I love
Okay.
your thoughts.
So I this is the Tao Te Ching. And I love the Tao Te Ching. It is just a philosophical text of 81 verses. Usually the verses like run from like 4 lines to, let's say, 20. They're all pretty short relatively. And Tao of the Day is a 15-minute slot. Like I have a 15-minute timer for people to come up, give me a number, and then we read that Tao together and we go through it line by line.
Ooh, I like that. I'm getting Wayne Dyer energy. He
There
was
is, yeah, he did some work with the Tao.
okay. So a number between
1 and 81.
boy, I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm gonna say 73.
70. Ooh, nice number. I love that. Okay. This is relatively short, 8 lines, something like that. And I just like to let people know what they're in for before I start reading it. The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, accomplishes without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through.
Ooh, that is sexy.
It's very sexy.
I
What
like
uh,
that.
what what's some of your initial thoughts?
I feel like I'm kind of in that place. I made some hard decisions that helped me understand my wounding and then make the healthy choices to get away from what was hurting me so that I could respond in more healthful ways in my world and become more my authentic self. And now I feel like I have found my spiritual path in a way that I hope to help others in an integrative wholeness way and get back to the nursing practice of avoiding disease in the first place and
Right.
maybe potentially even developing some of my mediumship and so I want to and I have an opportunity to coexist in a space that is opening up soon in the spring near my home where I could potentially have a space and do many different modalities towards healing, which I do believe our communities need on a very real a grassroots level
Oh
for all that
man,
we have been
you are
through in this.
you are
Yeah.
you are you are speaking some of my language. I love that. Oh man, that is beautiful, and I really appreciate. Nurses. One of the things that I have noticed, and we'll start going through this line by line shortly, but I do want to say this, is one of the things I've noticed with nurses is nurses are light workers. Nurses are like, I've found so many nurses, male, female, whatever, um, have been, are people in the space of, I want to help heal so badly. And our world, the world that we live in, has, kind of pigeonholed what that looks like, and so everybody
Hmm.
kind of like moves into, not everybody, but lots of these people move into these healing worlds. And, people who have been nurses for many, many years are really tired.
Yes,
and
sir.
they're so mad.
Yes, sir.
And it's so unfortunate because they have such a desire, but they can't see beyond what the industry has shown them. And what I hear you saying is like, you're like, I want to heal in a different modality. I want to heal in a way that is like healing. rather than
Right.
sickening. And
Yeah.
I think so many people, maybe yourself included, like when you were younger, you were like, I want to do this and I know this is what I want to do. And when I look out at the world, there's a logical path, and that's being a nurse. But as you get older, and I'm going to take a guess and say you're in your early 30s, is that right?
Oh no, but I love you so much. No, I'm 48.
You're 48. Oh, I'm 46. So you and I we're right there. I only said that, so that's interesting because like that's probably just how long have you been a nurse?
Since well, I graduated in 1996 with my BSN.
Okay, cool. So you've been doing this for a long time. So I want to welcome you to the new layer and level of consciousness. I assumed that you had gone through a Saturn's return recently and were changing, but you have opened yourself up to something um, in your 40s and are stepping into this, and I am so appreciative of you because that's not easy for where you're at. You must
No,
have
and
had to have gone through something pretty difficult over the last 5 years.
oh, very much so. And
Yeah.
yeah, and you're right. The structures, I had such a pure heart. I really had a missionary heart. And
Yeah.
the structures are so abusive towards nurses, and they've been so cowed down by the system, by even their own peers, who have
Yeah.
also been shat upon by the powers that be.
Yeah.
And it's a very abusive environment, and I just, it didn't resonate with what I wanted to do, and the only satisfaction I could find was in home care, because then I could really have a conversation, and I might be the only person that person saw that day, and I had to steer the ship and make sure their needs were being met, and there was a helpfulness in that eventually got me into hospice, and that's where some of my mediumship and real healing happened for me, because I did leave a 24-year relationship, and I left a very lucrative six-figure pharmaceutical career to work with my heart again.
Good
And
for
it
you.
might have looked really crazy on the outside, but my soul was dying. And
Oh,
I was led by spirit to go back to using my heart again, and it saved me for a while.
mm,
But now my body is really battered from
yeah,
the very real threat of that virus that is so unusual. We had never seen anything like that before, and it stunned my colleagues and it stunned our patients, and we're stunned and we're
yeah,
tired.
yeah,
And the system still won't give us time to recuperate. I
no,
asked for an accommodation from an insurance company whom I'm helping save hundreds of thousands of dollars by keeping their people out of the ER, and they won't work with me just a little bit, with because I do have some very real PTSD right now, but I still wanted to work. But
right.
no, they couldn't accommodate that. And so that told me then I need to step down. The universe is telling me to take care of myself, stop using my gifts for these corporations, and get back to what nursing was meant to be, which is to keep you out of the hospital in the first place.
Yeah, it was meant for you.
And on that time in the pharmaceutical industry, although it killed my soul towards the end, it gave me more cojones than these poor nurses who have been beaten down their whole career. So I speak up for myself in a way that others maybe couldn't or didn't feel they had the power because they didn't have another skill set to fall back on.
Yeah. Well,
So I
I'm
was
really
gifted
glad that
in that
that
way.
we have
Yeah.
connected because you're building yourself back up, and I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
listening to you has helped me, because we've talked about some of the ways that I used to cope when I didn't understand what was going on with me spiritually, and wounded wise and all.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
So
All
thank
right,
you.
so let's get back into the Tao here. Like the Tao is always at ease. So that like the Tao really just references like God, the universe, whatever. Everything like that is, like I always look at God in the religious sense. When I look at God in the religious sense, I always look at him as more of a of middle management. But the Tao is like his boss. Because like the Tao is always at ease. It's never angry that you've done something. It doesn't look down on you. It doesn't want you to be ashamed.
So
The
in the
Tao.
Christian sense, would that be most parallel to the Holy Spirit?
Well, the Holy Spirit is part of the triune God within that.
Okay.
Right. So like they are all the same. Like the Holy Spirit is probably the most forgiving of well, I guess Jesus is really like the most forgiving, I suppose. I don't know. Like I haven't I don't like. I was raised in a Roman Catholic background, and so
Me
I
too,
do.
me too.
Yeah, well, oh, look at that. We went to different churches together.
I'm still recovering. No, I I say that with some mirth because my brother, I believe, was I mean his soul
Yeah,
is no longer here because of some of the abuse that he experienced in that
yeah,
framework.
yeah. No, I remember we talked about that. And this is like the Tao is always at ease. And we look at this idea of always being at ease. Imagine if you can just be at ease with everything that's going on, whether or not an insurance company is coming down on you or anything, like being at ease,
Yeah.
right? It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, and accomplishes without a plan.
Mhm.
Thoughts?
I like that. That reminds me of this concept that I try to train myself by being more present and just letting go and going with the flow. And when the doors open and when they fly open, then I follow the path of least resistance as long as it's of light and love, because that seems to be when I'm in God's flow.
Yeah,
And that seems to be when time just floats by. And even though it's work, it doesn't feel like work.
that's right. I love these like what it says it's doing without, right? It overcomes without competing. If you can do like when the doors fly open, you know you're not competing,
Hmm.
right? When the doors fly open, you're not speaking, you're understood without having to speak a word. And you show up in places at the perfect time without ever having been summoned. You just walk into the room and say, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. Can you do this for me?" And then you're like, "Yes, I can be here for that."
Yeah, that happened all the time in hospice. I would just decide to visit someone. They would be actively dying. The family would come at the same time. We'd both be surprised. But then I'd get to pray and I'd get to sing a song and comfort them.
Yeah.
And it was mystical. That space in hospice was mystical.
And then accomplishes without a plan. So many of our plans, right? I mean, life happens when you're busy making other plans, right? Like
Oh,
all of
right.
these things overcomes without competing, answers without speaking, arrives without being summoned, and accomplishes without a plan. This is about being in flow. This is about being, not doing. It's about being.
Yeah, that's so powerful and it's so easy, but it's like this why it's like when we surrender, we win, but somehow we've been trained that surrendering is losing.
Right. Where yielding to anything is you're weak. And I did a talk on Instagram this morning. I did a live all about our four brains. And I encourage anybody to check that out. It's all about this idea of like the masculine gut, the feminine heart, the masculine head, the feminine spirit. And
Yes.
these are the brains that we're using. And if we can look at which brain is controlling and which brain is the one that's steering the ship, we might be able to understand its motives and then understand maybe we're not being, maybe we're doing.
Yeah, we don't have to be in competition. There's a yin yang, and if we're created in God's image, then there's a sacred feminine,
Yep.
and it can be so powerful and actually so much more attractive to each other because I mean, if you're of that persuasion, heterosexual persuasion is my experience, and so that's what I'm talking about right now. I was fed a load of bullshit from the other generations who I'm very grateful for breaking the glass ceiling, but you can't do it all. And I think it caused a lot of societal confusion. And I'm like embracing the sacred feminine now, and I don't have to be a man anymore
Good
and
for you.
be so hard.
Yeah.
But I did find a man who allows me to be feminine, and he can be that. And we
Yes.
can complement our differences and be so strong together
Yeah.
as a couple when we can allow each other that space to complement our strengths.
And this is where this verse ends us, because it says its nets cover the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. You could go ahead and focus on your masculine because that's what society told you. but then you can partner with somebody that has really embraced their feminine, the feminine in them, so that there's complement, and they have masculine qualities that you don't, and you have feminine qualities they don't, and although the meshes are wide, meaning that anything can fit in here, nothing falls through.
Oh, bless you, sir.
I'm so glad that you joined me. It's been a pleasure to get to know more about you and to continue to share.
You too, Gen X unite. We're not the forgotten generation. It's our time.
Step up now, Gen Xers. Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna bring Julia. Bella, I know you probably have something to say about what I just said, but Julie's gonna come up, and we're gonna because she had been waiting for a minute. Julie, how are
Good
you?
morning. I'm all
Good
right. How are
morning.
you?
I am doing well. Thanks for all the love this morning. Like I just popped on and I see everybody talking about me. This is nice.
Woohoo! Deserved.
And go on, Millie.
Yeah, how good is that?
Go
It
on.
just shows. It just shows just a little word, just a little bit of belief, a little bit of trust, and a little bit, thinking about herself, how well she did.
Yeah.
She's so proud of herself as well, which is
Oh,
lovely.
I'm so
Really lovely.
glad. For those of you who don't know, Millie is Julie's granddaughter, and she just won an award. Like her team just won a competition. I don't know what that was.
It was a rugby tournament that they
She,
won, and
yeah,
she was captaining,
she's
which
captaining a rugby team, and she's the smallest girl on the team,
yes.
and she's captaining this team, and they won. They won, and there was a point where she had visited me here on Tao of the Day, and
Yeah,
we had some encouraging words through the Tao for her,
yeah.
and I'm really proud of her.
It shone, and yeah, it was lovely. I can't thank you and the Dow enough.
That's right. This ancient text, and
Yes,
so do you have a number for me today?
I do. 29 is calling out today.
29. 29 is a longer one, but it's all kind of broken up into sections. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and read this. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it.
Yeah.
There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. So that's really like I love the way this one starts. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. And I love that. And I love this idea that like just take your grubby hands off the world, man.
Yeah,
I know you all really think you're trying to improve things,
but it's already
but
there. It's
this is the
already there.
world. Right. This is the world. You know, when I find myself in relationship, I find myself moving into a relationship of any kind, friends or whatever.
Yeah,
I have to remember that you got here all by yourself without me.
yeah.
So why would I ever step into the into the realm of thinking that would say, "Hey, you need me to tell you something."
Control.
That's right.
Yeah,
How could anybody be like, "I love this person," and then be like, "Let me tell you what you're doing wrong." Wait a
yeah.
minute. They got here without you, son. Like, shut your mouth. Like, do
I
you think you
love
can
it.
do you think you can improve your partner? I don't think it can be done. Your partner is sacred. They can't be improved. If you tamper with them, you'll ruin them. If you
Yeah.
test them, if you treat them like an object, you'll lose them. Like you can put you can put anything in here. Do you
Yeah,
want to
it's not
improve the world?
ours. It's
It's not
yeah,
ours.
it's not ours. Yes, that's it.
Not at
It's
all.
not ours to improve. Yeah, it's there. It's there originally. It'll be there when you're gone.
That's
That's it.
right. So nice, so nice.
Yeah,
And and
good to remember.
it's so good. And yes, we can look at this as being like a world without cities, a world without, yes, before all of that, that was the world that, we tried to conquer and all of that. But even now, even in this moment, like with all of the things that we have, like seen in the world, war and famine and all of those things, we have to also recognize that there's perfection in that,
It is.
you
That's what
know.
we got to think. It is.
Because it is going to grow beyond that, and there will, there are going to be hard times to go through as we continue to move forward, but we have to understand that this first line, do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. It's sacred. Whatever is happening right now is sacred.
And it's the way it's supposed to be. I was having a conversation with somebody about how walking before crawling, you'll go back to crawling anyway.
Mm-hmm.
These things are, that's it.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And the more we tamper with it, the more we might be staving off, like, it getting to a place that we can see as great. Like, if when right now, as we're trying to get back to normal with all of this, pandemic stuff, everyone is like, instead of just trying to like let it flow and be like, okay, well, working from home, everyone's trying to get back in school. But maybe getting back in school is an activity that the world is trying to stop from happening, because it's not going to open us up to the development that we really need to have.
yeah, need to experience the now,
Right.
experience it as it is.
And then everybody, with all of their upsetness and all of their anger around everything that's going on, it's like, and they're trying to change what's happening. It's like, well, sometimes I like to just say, well, let's see how this plays out. Not in an apathetic way. I'm not apathetic,
Hmm.
but I'm observant. And luckily I don't have children. Luckily I can be in this space of like, huh, that's it. Like, I don't know what I would say or do had I had children, and all of this was, thrust upon me at the last minute, right? Like, it's a completely different world that I live in.
Yeah. For me, I have got children, but I think all I can do is lead by example for them to show
Yeah.
them that life is good. No matter what the circumstance, there's always a positive that can be gained.
Yeah.
And your previous lady that's speaking to you,
Emily. Yeah.
she works in a hospice, so she deals with the end of life, and I also do. And that is another thing: is make it comfortable, do what you can to for the present time. Enjoy the present time, because this is a moment that will never happen again, and anything you do will not change what's about to happen.
That's right.
You can't
Yeah.
control it. This is the thing, but you can put yourself in that moment and make it comfortable and kind, but that's all you can do. There's no
Yeah.
ruling the thing. You can't do that. It's impossible.
It's interesting as we look out in the world and stuff. We Emily and I were raised Roman Catholic. I don't know. I mean, my guess is like you have a history of some sort of religion. I mean, you grew up in England, so my guess is Protestant, but I don't know.
No, I was lucky. I escaped all that.
Well, that's good. But come on, like, you were in a home. There weren't
Church,
nuns or anything
yeah.
there.
No, no, no. This was totally, totally social services bound.
Oh, well,
So
good on you. Good
I
on
could
you.
find myself, which was
Yeah,
very lucky. It was very
yeah.
lucky.
and
That was
and
a
scary, like being,
yeah.
like you're on your own in social services, where it's like, at least there's a group that you can attach to in the church, if that was the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And now we move into this section of, there's a time to be ahead, behind, in motion, at rest, vigorous, exhausted, safe, and in danger. There's a time for being in danger. I love how that ends. It's okay. It's not wrong that you're in danger.
No, it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a time to be exhausted.
Yep, been there too.
Yeah. All of those things, right? Like when we look out at the world and we say, "Oh, if this happens, we're all going to be in danger." Like there's a time for that. It's okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to, you know, get up on our haunches and say, "Uh-oh, like we have to stop. We have to stop this because I'm going to be in danger."
No, it's an
You know,
experience, isn't it? It's an
yeah.
experience, and the experience is there for reasons that are beyond us. We
Yeah.
can't say why these things are. I mean, I can say there's a time for exhaustion. That's the time your body is then going to replenish itself. So it's telling you that so that you can be exhausted, and then you'll work on that to overcome it. It's the same as danger. So if you're presented with danger, you will find a way to work with it. It's not going to not happen, and it's not that it shouldn't happen either. But it's an experience, and that's it.
Yeah, and when we start to perceive that as we're always in danger, or we're the only ones that are in danger, once we start to perceive that in any other way than like, huh, that's danger,
Yeah,
right? Like that's when we start to get in our own way and creating a world that doesn't exist.
yeah, I do that a lot, or I have in my
Yeah.
past done
Yeah,
that.
you're
We've
about to
picked
get on a
up on it.
bike and ride across the country. You're gonna find there're gonna be some dangerous spots.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are, there
exhausting. And there
are.
are gonna be points where you're gonna be exhausted. And that's
Yes.
okay. And there are days where you're going to be able to be like, we're not writing today. My butt
Yep.
hurts.
Lazy days.
Yep. The master
Yeah.
sees things as they are without trying to control them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the master. Like win or lose, rain or shine. Like this is the way it is. I don't want to control that, but I can control me in this moment. I can decide that I'm going to be open to this moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle.
Yeah. Now you're going to have to explain that a little bit to me.
Yeah, she lets them go their own way. And so the master sees things as they are without trying to control them. She lets them, the things as they are, whether that's people or incidents or anything, she sees them as she sees them go their own way. So she sees the danger come and she sees the danger go. Why? Because there's a time for danger and then there's a time for motion. Right? Because all of these things, this list, this litany of like go ahead, being behind, being in motion, being at rest, being vigorous, exhausted, safe, and in danger, all of those things come and go because there is a time for each one. It is
Yeah.
not like there is a time to be in danger always. Well, there's a
Yeah.
time to be safe and there's a time to be in danger. So she sees them and doesn't try to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. The center of the circle references just an opportunity to be separate from, right? You're not at the edge where everything happens.
Yeah.
Because at the center of the circle, if you have, like, this is just an image that came to me. If you have 10 people that are surrounding you and they all come in at the same time, they will eventually get to a place where they can't get to you because they will have stopped due to the fact that they are shoulder to shoulder with the other 10 people.
That's a really good way of thinking about it.
And
Yes.
so when you
I
stay
get
at the
that.
center of the circle, you're actually not in any danger. They are stuck until one decides to come through.
Yeah.
When
And
one
then
comes through, you can deal with it
that's
because you're
yeah,
calm.
that's the time then for that thing.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And then as the 9 decide to, descend upon you, they get stuck again.
Yeah.
So it's never a point where it's like everything is here. There is a
Yeah.
time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time of being in motion and at rest and vigorous and exhausted and safe. and in danger. And that's a really nice way of looking at it, right? Like the visual of that,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
I
you
like
know,
that.
now you're stuck, right? Like all of those things. And if you went to the edge, well, you would be meeting that thing. You would be
Yeah,
taking action towards being in danger. You would be taking action towards being safe. And while you're doing that, all of your attention is moving in that one direction.
yeah.
So that's how I see that.
That is super. Thank you for that, because I was a little bit stuck with that, but that was great. I'm good with visuals. I'm good with that sort of thing. That's great. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I am going to see you tomorrow for my workshop. I'm so excited
Yes,
for
I am as well. I'm just
that.
going to be straight in there, and we're going to go.
Thank you so much, Julie. I so appreciate you. And we're bringing Bella in. We're going to see Bella. Bella always has great insight for me. And yeah, so hello, my love.
Hi, Martin. You have great insight. I've noticed this trend. I put myself in the queue and they say, "Oh, we know Bella's here." I'm like, why are they picking on me? Like I'm enjoying listening. Take as long as you
Beautiful.
want. Yeah, I love Julie's laugh and her complete honesty in speaking. No frills and stuff.
Yes,
Just says it as it is. And it's such a joy to listen to her. But you know something?
I do.
Martin, stop teasing me. You're teasing me. Well,
I
it's
think you're teasing me, like, asking me that question.
well,
You
we're
sure you
connected on
know I
Tuesday.
know something?
No, it's a filler. It's a filler. I know it's interesting that Julie came on before I came on because the Tao sort of summarized the fact that the most important thing is to be present and not to translate things with our experiences. I'm always harping on about labels, 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 labels.
Yeah.
Because once we label something, we are saying, this is our experience and this is what matters. But the Tao source is much bigger than all of that. So we constrain ourselves once we label something because we're saying this is the perimeter to which we will understand it, whereas the perimeter is much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought, wow, that is so true. And also, um, having loved and neuroscience, and I, the thing is that it's the signals that we allow in our brain that allow us to execute. So if we're paying attention to the wrong signals, then we're going to execute in. There's no right or wrong in love, but let's just use our perception language. Uh, so if we pay attention to a signal, then we're going to execute that action. But if we are open to signals, danger, wherever it is, then we actually grow because in the execution of the signal, we are then able to widen our experiences and widen our boundaries. What do you think, Martin?
I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just no. I don't want, like, I'm sure I agree with you, but I don't know how to express it. So you're talking about signals, i.e., I am bringing through my senses.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have signals coming in through my senses. And if I just sit with what's coming in through my senses, um, and I observe that and allow myself to respond to that which comes in, I
Mm-hmm.
open the possibilities.
Yeah, you've explained it beautifully. How is that? Just observe the signals. They're just signals.
That's right. That's right.
They're
And
just.
those signals,
Mm-hmm.
I think where we get into trouble
Mm-hmm.
is when those signals
are get us into a place of blocking other signals out. So what happens is
Exactly.
when a signal triggers us to put on blinders and only focus on that trigger. So
Mhm.
if I'm experiencing things coming in through my senses and then someone says something like, I don't, like there's that joke of, I don't care what they say, I think you're a good guy.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of that is to get you to think people are saying things that are not, you're a good guy. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden you put those blinders on, and now
Mhm.
you're focused on, people don't think I'm a good guy and ta 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 ta. But if we just look at the signals that are coming in and then can keep those blinders off,
Mhm.
then we can find the opportunity to get beyond the trigger.
Exactly. Because when we block, what we're doing is we're blocking the emotion. So we're not understanding why we're triggered. Um,
Right.
I was talking to, I coach sometimes, but only very on very few occasions. And as I'm on my healing journey, because as you can see, these types of things takes a lot of preparation. And what this person I was talking to, the issue is something very deep, and yet the behavior to the issue is translated in various aspects of the way in which you interact. It's just getting it. And we had to sit down and get to the core of the issue. And when you do this, what you find is, first of all, there's, oh, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
But when the person just sits down, because the signal, okay, let me just speak about it in a neurological sense. Um, First of all, you get a signal. The brain is just an executive machine, right? You get the
Right.
signal, it goes to the brain, then it becomes the intention. The intention becomes the behavior, and leave it long
Mm-hmm.
enough, it becomes the personality.
Yes.
So it becomes the way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get the signal and you recognize it, that it's just a signal, and do not block it, then it passes through. I mean, that's what meditation is, isn't it?
Right.
Because you're just there, there's noise outside, somebody may be screaming, but you're just still. So the signals are there. It's what we pay attention to. And if I'm going to get a little bit more scientific about it, that's what Einstein meant about the quantum soup. There are lots of probabilities. What you pay attention to becomes your reality. And if we're just talking simply, which what do I call it? Spirituality is. It's no big thing. It's just simple. It's just be present. And when we look at somebody like Jesus, because that's my faith, but other ancient masters have said the same thing, it's that you look at them, there were no labels, they just were. But they were able to and influence people without having all the material labels attached to them. And I always use this example because when Jesus was on the cross, his garments were, the soldiers played lots because his garment was so precious. Now, where did he get the money to get that precious garment? You know, this guy didn't have a home. You know, he didn't have a job. You know, he didn't
Yeah.
have anything, but everything about him was great. He could contact the leaders of the place. He could turn water into wine. He went wherever he wanted to go. He wore the most expensive garments. And I think what the ancient masters are saying to us, and I'm trying to, um, you know, adhere to it, is that just stay still. Danger and all these are just labels. And when we then we pay attention to that signal, then we get our emotions regarding that signal, which then influences our intent and behavior and our personality.
Yeah, anytime we react to something that we are experiencing right now, and not that reacting is in it, maybe reacting is always bad. We don't act to what is happening, we react to what we think we're experiencing. And I agree with that. Like being still, I have been still for the last couple months more so than I have previously, and I have
Mhm,
found more find me
mhm,
than I have found.
mhm. To be quite honest with you, Martin John, if I may say so, I've, from the first time I met you to now, there's much more chilled aspect of you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's very, very chilled. It's so chilled that I'm beginning to feel chilled.
There's always
You know, I just
it's
begin.
there's familiarity, and there is the ability to do that. And I think wisdom opened at I think there's like we so many of us talk about, there's a transition happening in the world and consciousness and all of this. And I think all of these things, like, these aren't, as we speak, like, there are no mistakes. Like, these things are happening, and we're in tune with them.
Yeah, I say into my friend Christina's room, I always try and keep you guys by my side and
Mm,
to talk. I said, listen, if there is a mistake, then you're saying that the creator source is a mistake. Why would you make a mistake?
that's right.
Are we that wise that we know we have him in us, or her, or whatever you want to call it, that is source. But love is infinite,
Yeah.
no boundaries. It is infinite.
Right.
And I keep saying, the more we focus on labels, the more the problem becomes. I was invited somewhere on Saturday, and I remember one of the people trying to introduce me. And as soon as that started, the contribution I could make just went out of the window.
That's right.
Because people would want to listen to the labels rather than just be present and hear what you have to say. And what you have to say is supposed to. I shouldn't say supposed to because it's dogmatic, but
Right.
what you have to say encourages a dialogue for you then to add to your experiences, to widen your boundaries, and therefore be able to contribute again later, and then encourage another dialogue and encourage a wider. Widen your boundaries. And that's what those two DAOs said to me. Just be, just
Yeah.
be without the boundaries, without the labels, just be. And what you learn, what you absorb will grow you, and that's growing you. You'll be a benefit to others, and others will be a benefit to you, because it's an equilibrium reaction. It's an equilibrium reaction. And the world that we're going to, now I'm going to be dogmatic, but I think I agree with what you're saying, because the world we're coming to is now going to be removal of labels. And I was talking to another person the other day, and I was saying that perhaps the individuals being so angry at wearing masks is that they've been forced to wear a mask for so long that the wearing of a mask is a psychological trigger to the fact that they've had to live their life wearing masks, which have been covered by labels, which have been got by all means necessary. Now they just want to be themselves. They just want to be themselves.
They want, like, I've thought about this as well. So you and I are think on the same lines. Uh, I think so many people that don't want to wear masks are like, I don't want to be controlled. And I
Mhm.
think that if they were to look at how they have been controlled, they would be astonished at how much they have allowed themselves to be controlled by others.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
and I think that may be for some like where the trigger lies.
mhm. I don't want to get political about it.
No, neither do I.
I
I'm
always
just
knew
talking about
politics.
experience.
Yes, exactly. I just think let's just be.
Yeah,
Let's just be.
yeah,
Like you said, let things pan out as they will.
yeah. The
Let
world
us
is
be.
sacred. Do you think you can change the? You think you can improve the world? I don't think it'd be done.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why I love talking to you and to many of the people here on Wisdom. Is that every day I learn something new and I
Mm.
grow. So I thank everybody for listening to my musings about life. And thank you, Martin John, for always being here. Stay
Oh,
blessed.
you too, love. Thank you so much. Just because nobody's on. I'm not going to pick a number right now. I do want to kind of just chat a little bit. And if you do want to come up, just come on up. I want to chat a little bit about the trigger. So tomorrow, Julie's going to join me, and hopefully we get some other people to join a workshop. And the workshop that I host is all about triggers, and it's about finding our triggers. And when we find our triggers, we can find out what we're thinking. Just like Bella was talking about, oh, they don't want to wear masks because they have some pain inside around masks. And I spoke on that as well as saying, oh, they don't want to be controlled. That's the story we keep hearing around the masks. So many of our triggers, we look at our triggers, we get triggered by something, but there's a story behind the trigger. The thing that's triggering us really isn't the thing that we're mad at. We're not mad, actually, that we have to wear a mask. We're mad because of the story we tell ourselves around what it means to wear a mask. You know, because these people didn't try and get Halloween taken away because children would wear masks. They didn't. They're not actually concerned about masks. They're concerned about something else. And that's something else. And I want to say that each and every one of the individuals that is upset about wearing a mask is upset about something different. But each and every one of them is upset about something in their lives. And that thing in their lives, that thing that is going on within them, is the thing that upsets them. And that's the trigger that they will want to look at to grow. And that's what we do in my workshop. So if you guys are interested, definitely check out the links in my Instagram. And yeah, I think this is, we covered number 29 and we covered 73 with Emily, 29 with Julie. And we just had some musings with Bella. Such a beautiful day. That is a beautiful Tao if I've ever seen one. So thank you, each and every one of you, for listening and joining me for the Tao of the Day. You can catch me here weekdays in the morning sometime. Tomorrow we'll be doing it early because I do have my workshop at 9. If you are interested in the workshop, definitely check out the links in my Instagram. Shoot me a DM. Reach out to me however it best suits you, and we will be in touch. I'm Martin John. This is a Recover Yourself production. I'm all about recovering who you are and helping you do that. So until next time, keep recovering yourself.